spot, and it has been almost 20 years. That's ridiculous. So I have 3 girls. The last time I was here, I only had 2 girls, and so my oldest, she's 14, and she just got accepted to high school. So it's just the craziest thing that I have a soon coming high schooler. So I'm just getting grades out, taking it. And the crazy thing is, look, let me be clear. Most rooms I'm in, I'm the youngest guy. But politics is dog years. It is the twilight zone. And it takes a certain degree of crazy enough to believe things can be better, in my opinion. But also, it takes a lot of love, especially if you're not doing it to get rich. And I'm so excited to be back, to see some faces that I remember, and to see new faces, and really to connect with you all early. As you know, I'm running for U.S. Senate, and yes, beating Rand Paul is something that we really want to do, and we will do. We will beat Rand Paul. Well, I'm gonna tell you about the bigger point. Let me circle back. We're gonna beat Rand Paul. So I often want to move past him because this is so much bigger than him. But I know how important it is that in this moment of so much division and so much hatred that's being weaponized at the national level, the idea of democracy, which we're still trying to get right as a country, the pursuit of democracy, as I've been saying everywhere I go, I believe democracy is hanging on by a thread, our pursuit of it. And you have a Rand Paul that is trying to unravel it, and a Mitch McConnell is whacking it with an axe. And in the face of all of this, I know that not only can we replace them, but we can do so much better than that. And working all over Kentucky and meeting folks from corner to corner, y'all have heard my saying from the hood to the holler and everywhere in between. I'm really talking about the fact that everywhere you go in this Commonwealth, you find brilliant people. You find loving people. You find hardworking people. You find people of faith. You find people that are taking care of their neighbors. Unlike Rand Paul, you find people that.
We don't have the neighbors in here.
I shouldn't laugh at that. We don't condone violence here. But he's a very frustrated person. But everywhere you go across Kentucky, you find the spirit of love and family. And we do not see that in our politics. And I just believe we need it. Not just because it's the right thing, just from a spiritual place, just from an emotional and human place, but because of the changes that we need to see. In a lot of communities across Kentucky, and I know you've seen it here, where jobs have left, a lot of people are struggling to keep their lights on, put food on the table, small businesses that have struggled to stay afloat, which is why I'm so excited to be back here, because during the pandemic, a lot of places had to close down. A lot of small businesses didn't make it through that, and it's been hard. And we have the chance, with everything that's happening at the federal level, to make real investments in Kentucky in a historic way that could ultimately stop poverty from being generational and make sure that Kentucky is no longer at the bottom in damn near everything. We have that chance, and I couldn't sit it out. I could not sit back and let this moment slip, because I know what we can do if we come together. And so I'm traveling all over Kentucky, and I wanted to come back here early because I want you all to see a lot of me, and we have a lot of work to do. So I want to tell you a little bit about this campaign, and I'm going to make a plea to earn your support. Too often we are given choices that are they're not great choices, but which one's the best of bad decisions. I want to earn your support. I want you to be proud of your leadership in Washington, because I know, you feel like I do, I'm proud to be a Kentuckian. I love this place. This is my home, and I'm tired of seeing us disrespected and mocked and ignored and abandoned. We work hard in spite of the people that represent us. Let's change that, because this is your government. You pay for it. It belongs to you. It should be accountable to you. that is my message everywhere. And it doesn't really matter what your party is. Honestly, it doesn't matter what your party is. And the thing that I know for certain is if you sit down with folks, if I had enough time to sit down with all of you and we talk long enough, we find something we have in common. It never fails. We all have so much more in common than we do otherwise, that if we stood together, if we leaned into those common bonds, we can make things better. You know, we can support public education. We can support local and independent businesses. We can make sure no one's rationing their insulin. And I will earn that. I want to be your favorite candidate that's the type of diabetic, because I never thought I'd be telling my story on the national stage. I've had to ration my insulin, and some of you have heard me talk about this. It's not an easy thing to talk about, to be vulnerable like that, but I'm just a regular guy that loves the Commonwealth of Kentucky and loves y'all. And I don't want my children, my three bosses that I told you about, I don't want our children, our families, to have to struggle to keep the lights on, to struggle to afford this thing that could easily be, upwards of $1,000 a month. I'll take two types of insulin, and depending on the coverage, I can pay over $1,000 a month. And no one should have to do that. Not in the wealthiest country in history. This is America, and we are Kentuckians, and we deserve better. And so I'm running this campaign really based on that message. It is not about partisan divides, it's about what you care about. Like what's frustrating you, what's pissing you off, what do you want to see? What do you want to see out of a senator? What do you want to see happen in your community? And to me, that's the foundation of democracy. If I'm standing up to be accountable to you, lifting up your voice, building policies that are responding to your needs, then I'm earning your votes. I'm earning your support. And if we have that all over Kentucky and across the country, I believe we can realize democracy. And if you all are following what's going on globally, and of course with what's happening in Ukraine, and all the dysfunction that's in Washington, I mean, they cannot get anything done at this point, and it's mainly because of folks like Rand Paul. And I don't really want to talk much about him because I said it's bigger than him, but I want y'all to understand the magnitude of where we are now. So we have the American Rescue Plan. This was a response to COVID and saying we need to invest in making sure that we are prepared when crises hit. That we are addressing a lot of our crumbling infrastructure and a lot of folks that are on the front line, small businesses, a lot of challenges that Kentucky was dealing with before the pandemic, saying that we finally need to invest in it. And then you have the infrastructure legislation, which is a game changer. I know you all know how crappy internet can be depending on where you're going throughout the day. And making sure that we are investing in our interstates so that more local businesses have more avenues and channels, that we are bringing jobs back to Kentucky, good paying union jobs, so folks have more money in their pocket, that we're making sure that our veterans and our seniors have quality health care, that folks have sustainable housing, quality housing. None of these things are partisan to me. I think you just deserve it because you're here, because you're working, and you pay taxes. You pay more tax than a lot of these folks that are getting a whole lot of corporate benefits and a lot of incentives to continue to screw us. So by taking this message out throughout the state and leaning into organizing, we are going to inspire, we are inspiring something really powerful, and you all are a part of it. So already in this race, we have over 15,000 people all over Kentucky that have signed up to volunteer. And we have folks from every county. And so I'm connecting with you all now because I want to tell you what's going on, and then I want to earn your support, but I need your help. Because we are up against, and we will be up against a lot of big money. There are a lot of interests that would rather Kentucky not have fully funded public education, that would want us to not have quality health care, that would want us not to have clean air and clean water because it's not toward their profits. And the fact that I'm running on all of these things has put a big target on my back, and that's okay. There's a super PAC that's created already with over $6 million in it. It's called Socialist Booker. So they're being really creative, and they're saying that, well, if he wants people to have health care, he doesn't believe in America. I want you to have health care because I believe in America. This is the place where if you have a dream, you work hard, you can see that dream, you can realize it. We deserve to have basic fundamental needs met so that we can do things like make bistros that serve our community and provide gathering spots for folks of fellowship, so that we can do things like clean up our neighborhoods and make sure that our children are safe and that we are thriving, that we're healthy. We can do all of that now, and we can't do it unless we change the Senate. And we cannot do it if Mitch McConnell gets a majority leadership seat back. So I think beating Rand Paul and getting a joke out of office and keeping Mitch McConnell from getting the power back to screw us more is worth fighting for. And I'm just asking you to take the chance to fight with me. That is it. And if you have cynicism, if you've ever felt like things won't really change, or you don't really engage, because it's such a mess, I really do not blame you. I don't blame anybody for feeling like that. And the fact that you're here now lets me know that you see the importance of getting involved, but we gotta let our family, our friends, our neighbors, church members, our colleagues, we gotta let them know that this is worth it. Let's take a chance on Kentucky for a change. Let's take a chance on ourselves. And I would be straight up with you. A lot of folks, a lot of consultants will say, okay, Charles, you're a nice guy and you've worked all over Kentucky, but I don't know if you knew, but you're black. And a black person can't win in Kentucky. I've heard that so many times. And where I come from the struggle. I was on food stamps and free lunch. My mom and I were homeless at the time. My mom went without eating to feed me. Both my parents are ministers, so we always had a lot of faith, but we never had a lot of money. And since 2016 on Easter Sunday, every year I've had a younger cousin that's been murdered. Some of y'all have heard me say that. Every year since. And it's really only by grace that I'm here. I nearly died from diabetic ketoacidosis twice. The last time was in 2018, and I was trying to make sure my girls had groceries for the week, so I didn't get my refill, and I tried to stretch out my insulin for that week. And as you know, we shouldn't do that. And because of these things that I've seen, I know what it means to prove doubters wrong. I know what it means to show up. And honestly, that's what Kentucky does. That's what we do. We get mocked a lot. I know you all see it in the national news. If they're talking about Kentucky, they're talking about something some ridiculous legislator has done or said to embarrass themselves and all of us. They're never talking about our beauty, our strength. They're never talking about the power and unity that we have. There are folks that voted for Donald Trump that are organizing with my campaign. There are people that have never voted before that are organizing with this campaign, because what we are fighting for is not the division. We are fighting for Kentucky. This is personal. It's personal to me. There's no way I would jump in this fire if I didn't believe it was worth it. And I joke and I say all this will probably be gray by November, but we're gonna pull this out if we work now. So what we're doing across Kentucky, and this is where I want to ask for your help and support, is we are lifting up the power of relational organizing and issue-based organizing through what I'm calling a Kentucky New Deal. So I don't have my hat on right now, I got my sticker though. And I want to make sure you all get some hats. If Trump can have MAGA hats, we can have Kentucky New Deal hats. So that's right. That's right.
They look better.
Oh, that would look good on it too. Actually, a couple of my folks have the hats on now. But the Kentucky New Deal. There you go. Yeah, there you go, Chuck. You gonna model the hat. The Kentucky New Deal is my vision for investing in infrastructure, investing in people, and prioritizing democracy. So it's life, freedom, and prosperity for every single Kentuckian. And basically what I'm saying is, there was a promise made with the New Deal to invest in infrastructure and to address poverty, and over the years, a lot of that promise has been undermined, consistently undermined by people who are choosing corporate profits over us. And we are also at a point now where small family farms are being choked out, struggling to stay afloat. Industries have been declining, and I give a lot of credit to Governor Beshear for showing leadership in the midst of this pandemic and driving investments back to Kentucky and leveraging the rescue plan and the infrastructure law to drive resources back to Kentucky. But he can't do that by himself. We need leaders at the federal level that will work with this governor to make sure we keep bringing these resources back. And if we do that this year, and we secure the Build Back Better Act, and we protect democracy, we can have a future that my daughters will be able to pursue their dreams too, and your children and your family too. And so by using issue-based organizing and relational outreach, this is what Georgia did, y'all. And so actually my manager is past sheriff of Gwinnett County in Georgia. She actually helped me get my internship in Congress years ago. So we've been doing this work for a while. But a lot of folks did not think what Georgia did in the last election was possible at the national level. They laughed at the idea that a state like Georgia could win a Senate seat, let alone two. They did that through deep organizing. So they went to communities that folks typically don't talk to. And they invested in training folks to talk to their family and friends. They supported them, they even paid them. And you know what? Because they treated people like they cared, folks responded. Organizations on the ground that have been doing the work got resources, and they started working. And people got out, not just to vote for Ossoff and Warnock, but to vote for themselves. And I see that fighting spirit in Kentucky. We can do that here, and we are doing that here, but it starts right now. The last thing I'll tell you, and then I actually have some questions for y'all, but I want to see if you have some questions for me. Because of what we've been doing, and when I ran in the last cycle, a lot of folks at the national level, and even a lot of folks across Kentucky that may have heard about me, knew I was in the state legislature, but didn't really know exactly what I was trying to push. A lot of folks didn't think that we could get any traction with this campaign. And one of the first stops on my campaign was right here, when I had my listening tour before I launched the campaign. And we stayed at it. We went all across Kentucky and talked to folks that nobody talks to. And quite honestly, I poured my heart out all over Kentucky. And the response was so powerful, and I know y'all saw it. And we were only scratching the surface, but because of that work, although we didn't win that primary, and the Grim Reaper is still there, so we still got a lot of work to do. Because we did that work, and I launched this organization called Hood to the Holler to keep it going, and so we're training people to run for office, training folks to be citizen lobbyists, so we need more regular folks that can engage at the local, state, federal level. Republicans have figured this out, and we need everybody to understand the power of that. But then also showing folks how we can build common bonds together and organize collective power together. Because we did that, not only am I the front runner in this race now, I'm the presumptive nominee, and we have a clear path to Rand Paul. So now we come in through the front door early. And I don't want us to miss that chance. So thank you for coming today, but I'm gonna thank you in advance for all the work we gonna do together. And I promise I'm gonna outwork you. I'm gonna earn your support through this campaign and in office. I will stop there to give you, if you have any questions, suggestions, prayers, I'm here for all of that. And if not, I have some questions for y'all too. So, any of y'all have a question about how the race is going, or anything you'd like to see?
I'd like to see you win.
Okay. We can do that. We can do that. I saw you.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is something kind of near and dear to me because I work with abused and neglected kids, And unfortunately, Kentucky is #1 in the nation for 3 consecutive years for abused and neglected kids, top 5 for 3 years, and the top 10 for 2 decades. What can we look for to maybe get help with that beyond just what the state can do?
Yeah, you know, to me, again, that is why federal leadership is really important. A lot of the investments that I'm talking about in making sure that families have the resource and care and support they need is to speak to that fact. And, you know, I also think about my grandparents. They opened their home to foster care. And some of you may have heard me talk about that. So for over 30 years, they opened their home to foster care and brought in children throughout my entire life and adopted the last 7. And because we have not made the investments in addressing generational poverty and addressing quality health care, we have essentially created environments where our children are continuing to suffer all types of trauma. And the providers, healthcare providers in Kentucky do not get paid enough. They don't get enough resources to meet those needs. And then our parents, that many are dealing with, they're battling addictions, they're battling poverty, they're battling different struggles. We criminalize folks in Kentucky before we treat them. Before we help folks heal, we throw them away in Kentucky. And if you think about the rising number of neglect and abuse, and you also see the rising number of incarcerations and the rising number of health challenges and addictions and overdoses and depression, all of that is connected. And to me, a Kentucky New Deal is about investing in families and taking care of our children just as much as it is about investing in our roads and our bridges and interstates. And here's the last thing I will ask. What ideas do you have? What thoughts do you have? Because I'm not going to do like Rand Paul and say I have all the answers. That is not why you should vote for someone. I believe you should vote for someone because they are listening to you and they are responding to you. Now, you need to know where I stand and how I show up and what I'm going to fight for, but I can't do this without you. And so from your profession and your experience, if there are things that we can be lifting up in this campaign and telling the story about, so that is another way we're going to be organizing. We're going to use a lot of art and creativity and storytelling to talk about issues in a way that can help people see it. You know, because if we talk about policy so much, we can be too smart for our own good, and we can sort of miss a lot of folks that are actually concerned with what we're fighting for. So I want to connect with you, and I do mean that to lift up some issues, but also get some wisdom from you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am?
I think a lot of Trump voters voted because they were mad about something, right?
Yeah.
They're mad at this or mad at that.
Yeah.
So when I see a candidate like you, I'm like, oh my God, here's somebody I can get excited about. I love what he stands for, I love his platform, but I do not want to be disappointed again, right? Like,
Right.
I'm tired of good candidates not getting elected. So
Yeah.
what would you say to somebody that might be cynical, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything that somebody could just say, you know, I think everything you stand for, hell yeah, why on earth would anybody not vote for you?
Yeah.
But then, like, what do you say to folks that may be like, man, I don't know if I can get excited again, and then,
First of all, what I would say is I understand that, and whenever I hear that, my first response is to just love on them because they got a reason to feel that cynicism.
yeah,
And look, when we didn't win in the primary, for a moment, I felt like I failed you. For a moment. But then I realized what we had won because we inspired people to get involved that never thought it mattered or never thought that they mattered enough, didn't know how to, or just thought it was for somebody else. And since then, it's only grown. And so part of what I'm trying to do is show more folks that the momentum is real and that we deserve to push through that cynicism. Now, in terms of, and I'll be real specific on this part, we can win this race, and here's how. If you look historically in Kentucky, turnout is low. And most campaigns accept that turnout will be low and don't try to change that. And it has really pissed me off over the years. So I've worked on several campaigns. I worked in Metro Council. I worked for Congressman Yarmouth. I was director for Fish and Wildlife. I worked in the state legislature. I was in the mayor's office, and I've been meddling my way into all these spaces, y'all. And I've seen the approach is typically to just accept things the way they are, look for the people that regularly vote, and only talk to them, like a couple weeks before election time. And so basically what we're doing now is treating GOTV, get out the vote, like it's right now. So what I'm doing today and what we've been doing the past few weeks is typically what you see in the last couple weeks before the election. I want to do it now so that we can build and really help folks shake off the cynicism, because it's valid, but if we start connecting with one another and we tell our story, we'll see in that fighting spirit will come back to folks. But I'm asking people to hold me accountable. Be hard on me. I'm stepping into this spot because I know that cynicism is valid.
I'm saying it's the voters out there saying, well,
Yeah, and you know what I've also seen is part of what we're doing that I believe will get to the heart of that is we're showing up by going into a lot of communities, especially areas that historically vote Republican. Democrats don't go, and if they do, it's just a pass through. They don't invest, and as we're doing this, it's almost like the response is refreshed. Like finally somebody cares about us. And so it's March. We're not going to take any break through the primary and through the summer. And if you know of anybody that feels that type of cynicism or is frustrated, help us connect with them so I can hear what they're pissed off about. And we're going to win this race in spite of the cynicism. And I look forward to celebrating on November 8th. And I saw your hand shoot up and I saw yours. So.
I'll be quick. Mine's a statement more than a question. As a lobbyist, can you assure the people of Kentucky that when they come to your office lobbying for what's going on around them, that you will take the time out to hear them, to meet with them, rather than just close your door and send somebody else?
Thank you for that question. So I'm going to say yes to you. And I'm going to tell you yes because that's the only reason I'm doing this. When I was in the State House, that's how I operated. I told my staff my door doesn't close. And before the companies came in, I would be looking for the citizens that were out there and tell them, come on in here. Tell me what's concerning you. And what I'm going to do here in Kentucky to honor that too. So these senators, they get a lot of money to invest. I mean, they get a salary, but they get a lot of money to invest, and they can have offices across Kentucky that are doing that type of work. Rand Paul has chosen not to do that. He could have regional offices that are active all over Kentucky if he wanted to. He does not see the value in that. So what I'm committing to do is to invest the resource they give to their Senate office into creating spaces in Kentucky where you can come, talk about policy, get your ideas heard, and be accounted for, and create essentially like community centers, community spaces, co-working spaces that will allow a constant chain of communication. Through this campaign, I'm going to do what we call community meetings. I don't like the phrase town hall. I feel like it's sort of like boring and rigid, and results don't come out of it. But if we have community meetings where we're coming in and you tell me what you're thinking, and I'm telling you what I can do and what we can do together, now we're creating something. So I'm asking you to give me the chance to show you that I mean what I'm saying, and I'm asking you to hold me accountable if you don't see what you need to see. I'm not gonna let you get there. And I saw.
Because I will.
I believe it. I believe it. Okay, I saw your hand. I saw somebody else's hand shoot up too. Okay.
So my question is a little bit multifaceted, but my first point of the question is, where's your stance on capping nurse pay currently? And then kind of to tie into that, what is your plan or what ideas do you have to support nurses, especially in Kentucky, when hospitals are not supporting us and they're not supporting state staffing ratios, and currently the profession of nursing is dying. And I say that as a nurse leader, we've actively tried to make things better. So what can I, as a nurse leader, look to you to help
Yes.
us do?
First of all, thank you for your service. Thank you for asking that question. So I'll give you some thoughts, but then I'm gonna put it back to you because we gotta do this together. So one of the things that I was fighting for in the state legislature was helping more nurses be able to get more access and ability to prescribe and to work out across the state without so much of the bureaucracy. Because I know that one, we need a lot of care, we need a lot of support, and two, nurses are not getting that. They're not getting the support nor the pay. And part of why I believe we need to reform our healthcare system, part of why I believe we need to reform our healthcare system is so that we can make sure that our nurses, our practitioners are actually getting more resources and support. The way it is now is very top heavy. A lot of the money goes into administrative costs, it does not go into the folks that are doing the work. So quality healthcare not only keeps us healthy, but will provide more economic opportunity and support for our medical personnel, and we need it. So that's what I'll give you there. But what ideas do you have? Are there things that you've seen that have worked? Are there things that have been concerning you that you've been trying to lift up but no one's heard? So at charlesbooker.org, our website, in the Kentucky New Deal page, we're asking that question, like, what is concerning you? I would love it if you would share some of those thoughts so we can do some storytelling and do some advocacy. And I think there can be actions that we take now to put pressure on Washington to effectuate some changes for you even before I get in office. So let's do that together. Okay, and then, I know I have one more question. Yes, sir.
I want to help.
Yes, sir. I want to earn that. Thank you.
I have a hard time knocking on somebody's door
Yeah.
or calling them on the phone and saying, you should do this, you should join this church, you should vote this way.
Right.
Do you have a local organization to help someone like me? I mean, what can I do if I'm not willing to knock on the door?
So first of all, I don't blame you. Second of all, yes, we do. So we are doing these county meetups and we're coordinating teams across Kentucky. So we're trying to build that here as well, where we're training folks on just how to talk to friends, neighbors. We're doing texting, we're doing postcards, we're using social media when folks are comfortable, but also we're helping to coordinate folks and connecting to one another, because there are a lot of grassroots organizations that are doing great work that we need to support more and build their capacity so that we can plug you into things that are happening. And so it may not be knocking on the door. Maybe it's sharing some information to family. Maybe it's making a phone call to a loved one. Maybe it's talking to or just putting some information out. Maybe if you use social media, maybe it's just sharing some information. There's a lot of different ways that we can reach folks. And if you can connect with our campaign, I got some staff around here.
I was going to say really quickly too, before you all leave, we are going to have some sign-up sheets. It will take a very short amount of time. We're going to do it at charlesbooker.org. This is how we will get you into the meetups cycle. We just started these. It's really the socials, are talking about issues that matter to you all, convening a plan and then being able to engage with us and Charles himself at times to be able to, create actions that are going to be helpful for us in the fall. So please remember to do that, and we will have time to take pictures and things like that before we leave. But make sure you sign up so we can get you, young man, involved, and everybody else doing all the good work that we can do.
So that's right.
Young man, yeah. The oldest one here. Thank you.
So yes, if any of you want to volunteer in any way that you feel comfortable, we will work with you. We want to provide resources for you to do that. And thank you for coming. Thank you for your support.